Hello, future audience. I am Shaggy. I am Philalitea, and I have very little battery left. I have 25% left on my phone's battery, but I thought to myself, why be alone when you can be alone live on the internet? So, rather than give the misconception or allow for the idea to seep in that I take days off from being homeless, or that I break my own routine when I'm not live. I mean, I've said that I do, right? I've talked about how some mornings I sit here and I just wait until the time is up to do the next thing. But since I've called myself out for that, I haven't done it. And I didn't do it that day either. I wasn't doing it when I said I was doing it. I made a joke to call myself out in a healthy way, and that triggered a lot of people. I know it triggered at least one, because we don't call ourselves out either. We don't call one another out, and we don't call ourselves out. And we most certainly don't call ourselves out in public. But I've spoken, and I don't think it was on in the fountain space or the watering hole or any of my get ready with me spaces, but I have spoken on this channel before, and all of this material, I know it's 10 hours a day, but all of this material is made to be consumed. Not all of it is talkative, but all of it is made to be consumed. It's all meant to be enjoyed. It's all a gift from me to you. And it's Sunday, and I prayed hard enough, and I waited long enough, and I was patient long enough, and the uh, method that I've been using to clean myself to avoid body odor, yes, Maverick, that had been sold out for the last month at Dollar Tree, I'm in Ohio, Fati, was in stock last night. So I have my Arm& Hammer baking soda essential wipes. Why do you think I chose the appellation, Maverick? Strong, indeed. And so now I'm going to work at getting this old stink off of my body that the Axe, of course, the Axe, what do they call it, men's wipes or something like that, of course, can't actually deal with. Don't tell me what I'll do, Chuckin. Because I'll actually sit up right now. Yeah, the Axe man wipes or whatever have done such a poor job of breaking up the oils and detritus in my skin that when I rub the baking soda wipe across my skin, it stings from the cleaning. So if baking or if Arm& Hammer are listening, or you want to know, Axe is a garbage company, and those man wipes, dude wipes is what they're called, dude wipes, are a garbage product. Do not use those in place of bathing. You will stink rapidly if you are living as advertised. So how are you guys doing this morning? I'm here for you. I was just talking to the future audience a little bit, get myself going. This particular program is about gathering around a watering hole, a fountain, my particular personality, and getting to know you fuckers. Some people might call it crowd work. Well, I don't know why I wanted to know that Chuckin is on vacation, but thank you, Alf, for the reassurance. I don't know what it reassures me of. I already knew he was on vacation from reality, so I don't know how you're helping. Anyway, some might call it crowd work. The future audience is intended to glean a lesson from it. So let's see what today's lesson can be learned in the time that my battery remains among the living. I don't know who you is, but it's interesting that you have an Asian friend who's on vacation. Thank you for sharing that with us, Alf. We appreciate your non sequitur. Hello, Purdy. We value you for your thought out and well intentioned commentary and contributions to the conversation. Thank you for being here. May I have another, sir? How often do you think Brock Purdy was bullied in school because his name in the documentarian convention of last name, comma first name is Purdy, comma Brock? Purdy kind of sounds like pretty. How often do you think that happened to him growing up? You think that's why he's a quarterback? What am I in? If you're asking me about the confines that I am surrounded by, Marcus, I am in a tent. And I use a Dutch angle on my lens to subtly indicate my insanity. Because I'm a genius. Shouldn't give away too many of my secrets. Y'all won't pay me if you think you understand what I'm doing. I'm not making fun of Brock Purdy. I swear to God I'm not making fun of Brock Purdy. I'm genuinely curious. Like, do you think that's why he has the intellectual and emotional toughness that he has, is because, I don't know, starting kindergarten, life is amazing. I don't know what that means, the Punisher. I don't know what those things mean. But I do agree, life is amazing, Ebony Purdy. That's why I live here so close to nature. Yesterday, while I was doing this, I got agitated with a guy because he was using a pedantic argument using someone that I had already said on live while he was listening was one of my favorite philosophers, um, but that it was cliche to mention because nobody reads him properly. And so this guy comes in with an ill-intentioned argument from Socrates about how welfare states are good or something. Who knows? He was pissing me off. Hey, did you see this yesterday? And so anyway, I'm yelling at this fucking guy, and then as soon as I get, because I wasn't not under control, I was being performative. As soon as I'm done yelling at this guy, I look over, and it was minutes later, but it felt like to me, as soon as I was back under control of the emotional flow of the show, I look over, and my little bunny friend is hanging out with me, eating dead grass. I don't know why he was eating dead leaves. He didn't want that stuff. I don't have any good grass over here for him to eat anymore. Life is amazing. It's awesome. But I would prefer to call it awesome because I wouldn't say that I'm fluent in, but I've read enough medieval and uh, pre-medieval, classical, ancient, just pre-modern literature to know that amazing is actually a negative word. That means that you can get lost in it. Hi, Gerald. So when I say that life is amazing, I mean it's something that you can get utterly lost and destroyed in. And that's why I say it's also awesome. But that feeling of awe is the sublime, and the sublime is the realization that you are the smallest possible thing in your conceptual of hierarchies. Your, yeah, conceptual of hierarchies. I used conceptual in the pre-modern philosophical, so I'm sticking with it. I have 22% of my battery, so I really can't just like kind of chill. But I'm gonna take 10 minutes or 10% of my battery before I brush my teeth. So I hope you guys are doing good. I see that I'm getting a lot of churn traffic. And I didn't put it in the title, but I don't mind repeating myself a little bit for the future. The fountain is about you guys. I'm just here being me, filling the air for the future audience. Did you know, John Sherman? Do you ever think about that phrase, keep your chin up? You ever think about what that's useful for? What does keeping your chin up? What does holding your head at this angle help you do? Doing all right, Gerald. Not as stoned as I want to be. I'm going to be hungry in a few hours, probably by the time I get to the top of the hill when I leave the ravine. That's right, Michael Murray. That's right. So when we tell one another, keep your chin up, what we're saying is suck it down and smile. So no thank you, John Sherman. You guys can chin up. But I sucked up to the man for long enough in my life. Thank you very much. It didn't get me dick. Believe me, I would prefer a cigarette. They're just fucking expensive. And I spent basically all of the donation, not all of it, but I spent a huge amount of the donations that I got yesterday, the donation that I got yesterday on books and new games for the channel. Don't worry. Be happy. Of course, Gerald. I believe that, Michael Murray. That's nuts. He said that the good stuff in the good tobacco in Australia is $40 per 20 pack. Well, I could only assume that was a racist anthem that just flashed across my screen. I guess it's not flashing anywhere, that just popped up on the bottom of my screen. Can we move that along, please? Thank you guys for being here. I haven't acknowledged those likes. Thank you for being here. I didn't know. I couldn't have told you it was Bobby McFerrin, though, Gerald. I'll be honest with you. Don't Worry, Be Happy is your favorite song, Ebony Purdy? That's cool. I don't know it well enough to try to riff to it. Yeah. Well, whether they do or don't realize it, Michael Murray, this is interesting. I'm going to read it out loud for the future. He says, raising the price of smokes every year and a half. What they don't realize is they're creating an illegal tobacco trade. Whether they realize it or don't realize it, you're right. How they don't realize it, I don't know, because Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations explains that very clearly early in the book, early enough that I read it because I went, okay, well, I know all of this. I could have written this book. I don't need to read this anymore. Which is arrogance. And what that actually is, when I had that feeling, I have learned recently what that feeling is I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. So I wasn't going to learn it and remember it. So I quit. I felt confident that I knew it well enough to talk about it, and then I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, so I just quit reading it. It's a long book. Wealth of Nations is a long book, and it's an antique language about antique economics and antique fucking markets, antique uh, um, industrial material culture. And I grew up in CNC machining and engineering, so for me it was like all of it is, what's the word that they use, self-evident. All of it was self-evident to me just from growing up, making my dad pay me a nickel a part in a fucking paycheck. Don't you give me any of this bullshit. Don't you give me any of this bullshit about cash. Which guy in the Bible? In Japan. Because if you look at the stories, neat, you know, lightning bolts from the sky and food from heaven. But if you look at the archaeology, all of those places that are mentioned in the Bible had been empty for thousands of years, some of them. If that's how you feel, Reptile, thank you for saying it for everyone, I suppose. I'm not reading it, though. Welcome back, Value Bear. Welcome is ironic right now, but welcome. Alright, well, ironic at best. I wonder if he knows how quickly I could deal with that for the future. Value Bear likes to come in here and tell my audience how stupid I am rather than speak to me, which is called objectification. I talked about this on one of my other shows, so I'm not going back through that unless we start seeing Cash App notifications asking me to. I've done it elsewhere. What's up, Ander Herrera? What are you asking me what? Do you know that your name Ander means man? I don't know what Herrera means. That's a lot of Herrera. Do I look like I'm on steroids, Shannon? No, you didn't know that? Your name means Ander, or Ander means man in Greek. And Herrera is hard to say in English, with an English tongue. I look like I'm on steroids. Then I'm doing something right, I guess. Jose Sanders made me, did he? Not entirely impossible, I suppose. As long as he's minimum 13 years older than me, I guess. It's hard to break that habit, because that's not how you're supposed to say that. The proper pronoun there is I, 13 years older than I, because what you wouldn't say, because there's no verb there, what you wouldn't say is that he's um, 13 years older than me am. You know, I noticed that my hair at this length, I also notice that I look like the gay son of Adam Sandler. I absolutely, yes, just some guy, I'm homeless. I absolutely have noticed that myself. Infinity Roblox, if you feel like you should donate, please. Don't let me stop you. So I gotta do something about looking like fucking Billy Madison with in a hurry. My information, Infinity Roblox, is in my profile. It would normally be in my description, but I didn't feel like YouTube crashing this morning. Gergen, calm down, Gergen. Hello. I was addressing someone else. Are you aware of how rude that is? Could you imagine? I'm addressing someone that's asking me how they can give me money, and then you're standing over here to my right going, hi, 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 hi. What are you, a fucking chihuahua? Is how I would react to you if you were a human being standing immediately to my right, doing that shit. One is sufficient. I'm an adult man. I can read at a glance. Thank you for that like. Maybe. Never say never, but never. Craig Burns, this is Shaggy's Fountain, where we gather around the fountain of Shaggy's persona and do this. Yeah, see, Gergen, this is why I use you as an example, because you're not going to learn. But I'm going to get a like or two. There are going to be those hearts float up on the side of the screen because there's a the probability there's probably a female watching. There it goes. See? So I use you as an example because they like it and the future audience can learn from it. Nick Cannon, you see it, my dude. Your name sounds very much like Nick Cannon. Do you get that a lot? I'm not your brother. The first impression was bad, but I'm in Ohio. I have 18% battery. Once we get to about 10, I'm going to start getting anxious. Yeah, if you're in Ohio, people remember Nick Cannon fondly in Ohio, obviously. Woo. Okay, well, first impressions are everything. Down in Ohio, down in Ohio. I don't know what that means, Minecraft Kid, but I do know that Gen Alpha uses Ohio to mean bad, or the worst, or that sucks. Oh no. I'm sorry to have asked you that question, Nick. Actually, now I'm sorry to have asked you that. I shouldn't have asked that question. That's a thing I do. I was talking about Brock Purdy and whether he was made fun of because his name is Purdy, comma Brock, right, on any administrative file. So there are probably a lot of teachers, especially what are those called, substitute teachers, who came in and called him Purdy, and so I bet that was his nickname. And so I was asking, like, is that why he's got the emotional and intellectual toughness to be a quarterback? So I'm sorry if it seemed like I was making fun of you. I was just making conversation, man. It's the only thing I know about you is what I see. I'm laughing because I'm embarrassed. I'll nosh the shit out of some hamburger helper for sure. I grew up on it. Well, Ander, if that question is in text and you hit send, I can respond to it. Well, I'm not your brother. Hello, Richard Watts. I think I've seen your name around, but maybe I haven't. Well, okay. Yes, what about it? It says we are all brothers. Maybe. But I grew up in a family where I was pitted against my brother, and he was pushed to compete with me, but could never fail. And so I would prefer to think of you as a passing acquaintance whom I can or cannot choose to have a relationship with, rather than someone I have no choice but to defend. I'm not a Christian, but I am a monastic, Craig. Well, whether we have or have not made acquaintance before, Richard Watts, good morning. It's nice to make your acquaintance. Probably because you're trying to say something racist, Ander. Happy is a relative question. Origin asks, are you happy? Whether he's asking the chat or he's asking me, the answer to that is relative. I'm content. Good morning, Crystal. I have no opinion about Bill Cosby. I'm pretty sure that guy's dead. My granddad was a big fan, and he was an asshole, my granddad. So I have no opinion about Bill Cosby. I prefer not to fill my head with trash. I have a feeling, Andrew, you're trying to say something racist, buddy. Jesus is irrelevant to my monastic worship, Craig. I can dance. Can you dance, Neil? If you can't dance, you're not a friend of mine. We're talking about what I see in the chat, Miss Crystal. This is the fountain where I gather, and sometimes I have a prepared thought as I come in, and I got to stretch it out for a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, however. Because your name is Ander, and this is a YouTube chat, is why you would say something racist, Mr. Herrera. I can't dance. My pelvis is wrecked. But when I go for my walk, I'll boogie. I couldn't tell you what about it. I couldn't name a car I've ridden in, except my ex-girlfriend had a... I had an ex-girlfriend who owned a Renegade, Jeep Renegade, and I only know that because the day she brought it home, she goes, "You know that song by that band you hate called Renegade? They wrote it for this car." And I said, "So that band I hate is a sellout?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, and you bought it because you think that's cool?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, I might have made a huge mistake." So I couldn't name a car I've ridden in. My ex-wife owned 3 cars through the course of our relationship, and I couldn't tell you. Ford Escort. The first one was a Ford Escort because her brother had moved around the letters. It was a Ford Escort LX, and he had moved around the letters and re-glued them so it said Sex Court while she was in California. And I thought that was very funny. And she didn't think it was very funny. So that was a relationship that was doomed to be what it became. Over. uh, I thought the way I said that was very clever. Bro, I am very stoned right now. I have been smoking this whole time. I'm sorry if that's mean, Crystal. I grew up I grew up with parents that never should have been married and who both hated me and blamed me that they got married. Blamed my birth on their marriage. So, ex-wife jokes are some of my very funniest things. They're the very funniest things to me. Guy, is your name pronounced Guy or Guy? Are you French or anonymous? Yeah, but it's in my name. Well, it's pronounced Alethea, or it's spelled Alethea in Greek, but Aletheia. I haven't had a woman in about 5 years, Crystal. No, I do not be getting all the women. It's been a long time since I've had a woman. Today's dinner. Today's dinner is actually, let's say, on the table, right? Uh, Maybe a stupid way to say that, but I made $150 yesterday, and I think I only spent 75 of it. So if I wanted to go to the pizza place down here and get a calzone or a pizza and a salad, that's on the table. And if I wanted to go, I go to Panera every day. Without a Paddle was a weird movie. Um, John, if I wanted to eat lunch at Panera, get a salad and a soup. I don't know whether I'm happy I'm not in a relationship, Crystal. I haven't answered that question yet. That's why I'm not in one. Yeah, today might be a good day. I made some money yesterday. It's funny how that works, isn't it? That the better day is the day after you make the money. That's what I keep trying to explain to people. And I'm not doing this for the uh, instant gratification of having made the money. I'm doing it for... No, I'm not in a relationship with Jesus the Christ. I'm not convinced he ever lived. I made the money in donations. Well, it was a single donation from my primary Patreon subscriber and donor, Mr. S. But yeah, he sent me $150 yesterday. He really likes my work. That's not how you spell deliverance, John, so I don't know what you're asking me. I just said that I'm not convinced that Jesus was a person who ever lived. Well, the miracle claims in the Bible are impossible. I see you, gang. Good morning. A fiction, Ander. If he wasn't real, then he was a fiction. I'm sorry you thought it was mean, Crystal, but I'm not going to moderate my language use. The Philaletheia means lover of truth. I'm going to speak my truth. But that doesn't mean you have to stop believing anything. He may have died for our sins, but we didn't stop sinning because he died. Yeah, but that's what a god could do, right? Well, if he was a god, then he wasn't a man, he was a fiction. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to use rational truisms to move the conversation along past the impossible to the lived reality of whether that corrects our behavior today. I think Greek food is amazing. I would eat a fat woman's asshole for a euro right now. I do know the meaning of fiction. Do you know the meaning of a pious fraud? Well, error exists for sure. And that's what I'm asking. Did Jesus' dying correct your errors? Thank you, Dreamtooth. It's nice to make your acquaintance. Tzatziki sauce is my shit, for sure. I forgot. There's a there's a straight up Mediterranean Euro place downtown. $8 for two of them. That might happen later this week. Hmm. Curtis, that's an interesting logical supposition. Good morning, Raker. So Curtis says presumably that I'm going to change the pronouns to I, because that's what I do. When people make suppositions like this and they're using the general you, when I read it in my head, I change the pronoun to I to see whether this fits my behavior, and I think that this is true for me. And so what he says is, if I sit there and question about Jesus like that, I am a believer, colon, semicolon. If I sit there and don't speak about Jesus Christ, then I am a non-believer, semicolon. If then supposition. But as my duty as a child of Christ, I. And now I'm thinking that he's quoting Paul to me. Because what he can't do is read the Bible to his pastor on Sunday. So what he does is he badly quotes the Bible into uh, chat on YouTube. Okay, that's an extreme claim in Japan. And you get to go now. I've tolerated you long enough. But abusing random people through my chat is not happening today. The country that I most hate, Raker, I don't know. I don't hate countries, pal. That is an amount of an emotional and intellectual effort that I am not putting myself through. Because good morning, Green and Snuff. What I'm not gonna do, Raker, is pick up a gun and join the military and do something about that hatred. So why would I bother to hate something that I'm not going to take the effort to eradicate? I don't know whether I would consider marrying a woman from Mongolia. What circumstances are we talking about? Like, am I ordering her from the internet? Hey, that's cool, Green and Snuff. I'm glad that you came around for while I was playing last night. I was playing Final Fantasy 2. I played that way later than I meant to. I zonked all the way the fuck out after that. I could barely get my phone turned, my shit organized. Yeah, sure. Shaggy Philalite is my given name. Um, I have no choice but to support American actions. My taxes go to engage in them, Anders, Ander. But yeah, and then before that, I was playing. I don't know why I can never remember what it's called. It's called Secret of Mana. The reason I can never remember what it's called is because I played a game called Illusion of Gaia that was very different, but not that different. Similar in vein, a Zelda clone that improved on the Zelda format. I don't know what that means, Curtis. I really don't mean. That's what. That's on my phone. I'm screen grabbing from my phone. Last night I was screen grabbing from the tent and from sitting outside the tent. That's unfortunate that you can't get beyond the PS1, but I'm glad that you have what you like and that you play what you like. I've been revisiting that era because we were very poor. My family was very poor, so eventually I'm gonna have to reach to emulators. But before then, I've been buying up all the games from that era that are ported to the phone. Thank you for your listen. I know that what you're doing is giving me encouragement because what you're saying is coach. But thank you for the permission, coach. So my granddad would say, and I like to say that when people tell me to do what I'm already doing. Understand that that was loving and I patted you on the back as I said that. I grew up playing football, so I have a loving relationship with coaches. But I also have a don't fucking tell me how to do what I'm doing relationship with authority figures. I hear you. Yeah, Green and Snuff says that the later graphics, he finds it too hard to control and doesn't know where he is and what he's looking at. I talk about that in Final Fantasy VII, and that mostly when I play three-dimensional games now, I stare at the two-dimensional map. I don't even look at the game because it hurts my eyes. I prefer the graphics. I prefer pixel graphics because I know what I'm looking at. But that I'm certain that that's from growing up looking at them so much. Yes, Raker, I do fear deadly bugs like spiders and snakes getting into my tent. For all of the winter and most of the spring going into the summer, I had a giant gash in my tent so that my tent did eventually collapse and I had to replace it. And I had spiders crawling on my face every night. And every single day as I left and every single night as I walked down here, I prayed that I wouldn't come home and find a fucking snake in my sleeping bag, no matter whether that snake is venomous or not. And I thanked God every single fucking night that the fucking real big venomous spiders that live out here, um, or a brown recluse and black widows are both native to this area and this environment, never found their way into my tent. I thanked God for it every single day for about 8 months. Yes, I did. I don't so much now, but I did. It sucks taking a dump in the woods, so I don't do it. See, Ander, trying to say some dumb racist shit, trying so hard to say some dumb racist shit, but he's too stupid to get around the very easy filters. Stupid idiot. Spiders are the worst. I have no opinion of opinions, Luther Marshall. Are you familiar with are you familiar with Futurama? As a person who ingested and internalized and integrated Taoism and Buddhism and Jesus' message, Stoicism and cynicism by the age of 19. No, I'm not camping, Camden. As a person who had done that, the neutral people from Futurama, my gut tells me I have no strong feelings one way or the other. That's how I feel about opinions. And anyway, my informed opinion about opinions is that Thomas Hobbes was right and that you can't have an opinion until you have consciousness, and you can't have consciousness until you've shared your thoughts with two or more people and you've gotten their second order feedback in dialectic. I have no opinion about the supposition that Chinese people eat dogs. I do not have a solar charger, green and snuff. They cost about $50, and the camping supplies store here that I'm close to sucks dick and is over expensive. Academy can eat my whole asshole, and I don't go down to the mall because I don't have spending money. I am also glad that you don't have to deal with Black Widows, Luther. I've never seen one in my life, and I do not ever want to. I just never want to be in the situation to say, okay, I am not prepared for this. Do not know how I'm going to cope with this. I don't know how these fucking things move, but I know they're aggressive. So we pray. What we do is we do this. We cross our fucking fingers and we say, God, why would you hate us enough to put us in that situation? What have I done that's so wrong? I zip my tent every day. That's how I cope with that. I have no opinion about the supposition of anybody doing anything that anybody who has 4 H's in their name says. I don't know who is gaslighting God, but that's an interesting. Actually, Gaslighting God is a kick-ass album title for a black metal band. That'd be a fucking kick-ass concept album. Gaslighting God by somebody like Infected with Tooth Rot. Oh, you're back. Pastor, I was talking about you in other live chats that I was doing the other day and how much I really wish I'd never see you again. But lo and behold, hello, May. I feel like it has been actual months. Uh, Lo and behold, God has other plans for me on this beautiful Sunday. I get to meet Pastor Simpa again. I already stole it, bro. There's already Rule 34 porn of it. Yellow sac spider is something I've never heard of, but anything with the C in its name is something I don't want to meet. If Jesus were alive, he would probably not fight America because he didn't fight the Romans. I think Jesus was probably a fictional person and that God has other plans for me than becoming a priest. I have no mods because I have no Patreon support. Yes, what about it? If your lawyer can find my tent, Poop Sasquatch, hats off to him. Good morning, Victoria. I'm not gonna lie. There's a non-zero chance I was waiting until you showed up before I said, alright, I gotta get the fuck out of the tent, or I at least gotta put my socks on. It's good to see you. It's good to see you too, May. If I didn't make that clear. I'm not picking favorites. I am not picking favorites. Your lawyer is Les Stroud. Les Stroud is a name I know I'm supposed to know, but I don't. I like to see my regulars before I clock off for the day, you know. I don't know if you guys ever work service. Les Stroud is Survivor Man? I guess I don't know what Survivor Man is. Is that the better or the worse Bear Grylls? Genuine question. I hear you, Luther. See, and this is why I, this is why I never once took you seriously, Pastor Simba. Never once took you seriously. Okay, Survivor Man is the real Bear Grylls. Well, man, he's gonna find finding me boring. I'm gonna be honest with you. My day is going great, Miss Victoria. You told me to call you Vicky. I remember that. I've been practicing it in my head. I have to practice. Had to get this coffee in you. I appreciate you saying that I'm awesome to listen to. I uh, I gave a definition earlier for how I use awesome, and you used the word correctly. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I leave a lot of people breathless, and not in like a sexy way. Same woman, either name. All right. I said not in a sexy way, Vicky. I had an aunt who was a Vicky. I say had like she's dead. I haven't spoken to anybody in the Lawson family on that half of my genetics since 2005. Whoops. I think May kept moving because I reminded her that I haven't seen her in months. That's not what I was doing. You guys don't understand. So much of my idiom and my emotions come from work and service. You know, I haven't worked. It's like working nights for a month and you come back or whatever. Working nights for 6 months and you come back and you're like, I remember you. You're cool. Even if you got mad at me because I was having a bad time on Twitter. Miss May sent me money once. I was having a bad time. I was able to eat on that for a few weeks, actually. I was able to stretch that out for a really long time back then. It didn't make me sad going to, well, it made me sad, but it was something to do to stay out of the cold, going back to Christ's table. I'm glad we all do. That makes me feel good. Yeah. This tent's not going to last me 3 years either, but I'm using whatever the Walmart brand is. Ozark Trail. It's the Ozark Trail lightweight backpacking tent is what I'm using, Luther Marshall. And I suppose at this point they're not a sponsor, but I would endorse the product because I survived a winter in it, and that last winter was brutal. I'm glad to hear that, Vicky. That's what I'm here for. Legitimately, that's what I'm trying to do. I say I'm trying to make money because I have financial goals, but legitimately, I'm just trying to put smiles on faces, and I'm trying to put Z's above heads at night because it's hard to fucking sleep. I charge my phone at Panera, the Gambler's Gambit. What I do is they have a $15 a month subscription called, so I'm really endorsing a lot of corporations today. Hey, Panera, Ozark Trail, get at your fucking boy. Anyway, what was I saying? They have a program called Sip Club. It's $15 a month. It's actually $15.26 after tax. And you get a drink you get a free drink every 2 hours. That's hot or cold drink, and then sometimes those frescas are included. I don't like the frescas, but the kids that work there don't know how to make a mixed drink worth a damn. Anyway, this is Zanesville, Ohio. Uh, Nobody here knows how to make a mixed drink worth a damn. Well, um, and so I charge my phone there. I used to charge my phone at the library, but it was really crowded in the winter and the spring when people were trying to get away from the wind and the rain. I said the spring. I said the winter and the spring. In the winter, it was the snow, whatever. In the spring, people were trying to avoid the wind and the rain, and so I just started camping at Panera because people started leaving me $10 gift cards to pay for my sip club, and I am. It's your turn, Miss Vicky. Um, I am really glad to read that. I should read it. I should read it for the future audience as part of my resume, but I'm not going to because I'm sharing this as a human moment with you, and I'm fucking stoked that you're ready to put yourself back out there to get work. I'm fucking stoked to hear that. I'm really, really stoked for you. Crush your goals. Mayhem, like the band, they're too intense for me sonically to listen to in the morning, but sometimes I don't skip them when I'm playing intense video games. Yeah, don't. Yeah. When people tell you thank you, what I'm supposed to say is, it is my pleasure, and in fact, it's my honor that you felt like you could share that with me. That's gonna have me floating for the rest of the day. That's gonna keep me working. My battery's at 8%. That's going to keep me. That's going to keep me working for the rest of the day. You guys don't understand that. That's what I'm here for. Thank you for sharing that with us, Vicky. That's really cool, and I'm glad that I chose not to share that, to share what you said with the future, because that was personal and private. But thank you for sharing that. No, I'm not camping. Uh, Mak Malachi, Ban Ephraim, Ban Yasharala, Rasharhala. I can't hit that this morning. My throat's too dry. Wee Gunner, if you want me to point the camera downward, you gotta subscribe to the Patreon. You'll get my spicy link there at $100 a month or more. Did I get that? I've been practicing pronouncing and hearing the Semitic languages because I would really like to respect them, but I cannot speak it or learn it. I can't, the vocabulary just drips, it rolls right off my brain like water. Good morning, Julian. I don't appreciate the caps negative, Wee Gunner. I should probably not mention the parchedness of my throat and then not immediately take a sip. Oh, wow, I was really parched. There we go. Yasharachala. Did I get it? Was that closer? Yasharachala. I still can't do it on purpose. That's hard for me. But I think it's a cool sound to hear. A lot of people that can't make sounds will be like, oh, that's an ugly sound. But I think it's a cool sound to hear. I like to listen to Semitic speakers argue with one another. I'm not going to lie. I love to see humans in their natural environment. And I'm not saying that the Semitic natural environment is arguing with one another. I was talking last night, you can't know this. I was talking last night about Sigmund Freud had a phrase, an idiom, a term for this. The narcissism of minor differences. I love to watch the narcissism of minor differences play itself out. You learn so much about the minor differences and the examples of the people who feel very strongly about their quibble. I lost all of you by saying all of that. I love Semitic people. Why is a white person not allowed to say that they like a different language family? Maybe it was the listening to people argue that you misunderstood what I meant. But I gotta brush my teeth. Ugh. So like your dad used to say to your mom, shut up and put this in your mouth. Yes, a narcissist will tell you exactly who they are if you just listen to them. When they're talking about themselves, they very rarely lie. Yeah, narcissists always unravel. That's why it's fun to listen to people argue when they don't know that they're subtly wrong. And you don't know whether or how they're subtly wrong. If you just take the assumption that, well, they're arguing, so they got to be wrong about something. Because every time I'm convinced I really know what the fuck I'm talking about, every time, this is what you learn being married, boys. Every time I was convinced I'm right, I know what I am saying, I was 180 degrees wrong. Every single time. It became an in-joke in my marriage. Where she would be like, you're really confident about that. And I'd be like, fuck, that means I'm wrong, doesn't it? I'm sorry. Which is why it's funny when people call me a narcissist. Because as soon as I get as confident as a narcissist is, I know I'm dead ass wrong. And I'll say that too. Oh, I'm confident. The 180 on the honeymoon. Yeah, as soon as they have you contractually bound, they don't have to be the person that they were pretending to be anymore. That's really confusing. It's really confusing. Because it's not just women that do that. Women learn to do that by dealing with men. I am certain that all the women that did that to me, it's been a lot. I'm certain that all the women that did that to me preferred the woman they were pretending to be. It was weird. That's why it was shocking to me. All of them were narcissists, but I think they were all learned narcissists, which is a different thing. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I I don't know whether I should say I'm sorry to hear that, because I'm not sorry to hear that. Um, First of all, it doesn't make my day worse, and also I'm not sorry to hear that you're liberated from three situations. I'm sorry to hear that it took you three to figure out the pattern, but three is a pattern. Three is the definition of a pattern. One is an incidence, two is a coincidence, and three is a pattern. I'm in a tent because I'm smart. It gives me an opportunity to read and talk to you, Nitrogen. That's what I said. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for what was maybe what she would feel or other people might judge as unfortunate, but shadow work for me for sure. Everybody that suggested shadow work to me has been an asshole, but if it worked for you, fucking A plus, right? I've probably done it by accident when I was a youth. I do have to brush my teeth though. Thank you guys for it's the inward looking. Inward looking, what do you call it? Shadow work or whatever. It's inward looking, looking at oneself. I appreciate Dan Anderson. Oh, my mouth is so dry. Why? Exactly. You gotta figure out why you attract them. What is it about me that makes this keep happening? I said that to a woman once. Okay, before I tell that story quickly, I do want to actually address the if I'm so smart, why am I living in a tent? Because it wasn't a challenge, it was a genuine question, in my opinion. Ugh. What I said was, it gives me the opportunity to do this and meet you, talk about this, share my life, share my intelligence. I think that's what they mean. Share my being smart, share my knowledge, share my wisdom. But the word I chose was an opportunity, and that's not the word I meant. I don't like that I used that word. Opportunity corporate is a corporate mind fuck. I don't know if you know this, but most of your worldview, most of your patterns are derived from your self-talk, and you can very easily rewire your self-talk by changing your vocabulary. So chance is like dice. If I say, "Oh, I get the chance to meet you," that's like dice, and chance is governed by the goddess fortune. And I have 5% battery. And last time I let my phone die while I was doing this, the live freaked out and took like 6 hours to let me set public again. So thank you for the compliment. I saw it. Looking for love in the wrong places. Right, exactly, Vicky. Thank you for finishing that and helping me come to a close on that, because I am going to have to end this when I finish these two stories. Chance is what I meant though, because um, I'll be all right. I'm gonna go up to Panera, charge my phone, and then I'll probably actually just go back to being live, having my face on camera, not playing a video game, just chilling out in the store. Because this early, everybody that would go to the store should be at church. It has been nice speaking to you, Alex Smith, and it's always good. Alec Smith. It usually is good. I guess it's always been good catching your, seeing your what's a who's it PFP. Okay, so I think I got to the end of that story. I prefer chance because this is a chance encounter, and I like to think of it as God putting us together so that we can see one another for who we really are for a moment, and then not opportunity, because opportunity is corporate mindfuck. I believe that. That's part of why I don't have a job. You ask why I'm in this tent, because I don't want to be corporate mind fucked anymore. I'm done with being corporate mind fucked for $12.50 an hour. Debt slavery isn't worth the mind fuck that comes with it for me anymore. Um, and then I said that to a woman once. I was going through just the worst ever breakup, and so when you go through a breakup, you start it's ego death, and when you go through ego death, you go through all of the dying process, all of the process of the brain discorporating. So you go through the life evaluation process, like when your body is dying. So your life flashes before your eyes frequently, but it's a slow motion process. Okay, that's what ego death actually is. It's the actual dying. It's your ego, the separate structure from the body and the self, experiencing death, and the body goes through symptoms of that death, and so does the self. The self starts to discorporate. And so I had a woman that I was talking to about my breakup, and she was asking me questions, and I basically said that. I said, this is so many women, 5 or 6 in a row. I don't understand why they keep ending like this. And I finally, I just said to her, I do understand why they keep ending like this. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, they only have one common denominator. All of these women only have one common denominator. They don't have the same parents. They don't have the same school system. They didn't come from the same cities. They don't like the same music. They don't like the same movies. They only have one common denominator. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, me! The only thing they all share in common is that they betrayed me. So it must have been something that I was doing. She didn't like that conclusion, but that's the conclusion that I've come to. That it's something that I was doing and how I was presenting myself, or how I was allowing myself to be interpreted. For instance, I had one who thought that I'm a cuck, and so thought that I wanted her to cheat on me. And so she would cheat on me. And what it was I told her going in, because my ex-wife cheated on me a bunch at the end. I just told her, I was like, just if you're gonna, because the 3 and 7 year itches are real, if you're gonna, just tell me that you're gonna, and that you have, and who he is, and that you're safe, so I can know that you're safe, and you're not gonna come home all fucking gross, and now I'm ruined. And that is not what she heard. I don't know what women hear when you talk, but like we were talking, Vicky, it might just be the narcissist common denominator. It might have absolutely nothing to do with women, because my thought is to go, I don't know what women hear when I speak, but there are women in these lives that hear what I'm saying. So it cannot be a woman thing. Yeah, they change us. They make us believe that we're different, and then we change. It can't be a woman thing. Just rationally, logically, it cannot be that women, just when men speak, they just don't listen. It doesn't make sense. Too many women show up for too many male public speakers. Too many women back financially. Way too many male intellectuals. It's just impossible that they don't listen when we speak. No, it's not that I shouldn't have said that. It's that I absolutely should have said it, so that I can hear the thought being wrong, and I could say, oh, no, that can't be right. Or so someone like you could say, well, that cannot be right. And we have to talk about how you made an error at that thought. Because if you don't hear yourself say or write your thoughts, and if you're not an honest editor of your own work, you'll never correct that error. That's what sin is. Thank you. Yes, what about it? Thank you. I don't know if men are the past. I'm at 2%, and I got to the end of those stories. I don't know if men are the past, but many people are opportunistic. And opportunism is a great place to start. Opportunism, well, you're probably not a person who has narcissistic personality disorder. You probably actually don't have a narcissistic personality, a narcissistic identity, disorder. What you probably are is an opportunist. And opportunists are psychopaths.